that time in the morning where we review the papers. Bill Bradshaw is here. Good morning to you, Bill.
Morning.
What have you got for us?
Well, we'll carry on straight from the Lions, I think, because, you know, summer breakfast times are great when we've got a Lions tour, and yesterday was no exception. I like the Telegraph's treatment of the victory by the Lions, because really you couldn't take your eyes off it. You didn't know which way that game was going to go, and there you see a great escape. Kurtley Beale, you know, memories of set-piece situations in the past involving footballers, perhaps like David Beckham and John Terry. But when that slip happened and the ball, you know, really didn't get anywhere near the posts, that was the cue for the British and Irish Lions to celebrate, because, as I say, it had been in doubt right up until that point. But in the Telegraph, interestingly, Warren Gatland, he's demanding a big improvement despite that win for the Melbourne Test, which is straight on the cards again this week, of course. Go more or less directly after the match against the Rebels in midweek to the second test. And they've got a great chance to wrap up the series within 8 days, which would be absolutely fantastic, but a lot of work to do. And he says in that Telegraph piece, Gatland, that they need to improve their game management. He wasn't happy with the refereeing either, understandably. But he expects things to improve on that front as well, with a different official in the second test. So work to do, but a great start by the Lions.
Let's turn our attentions to football then. The Star Sunday have got an amazing story, haven't they?
Well, it is. It's a big week for Manchester United and Wayne Rooney. And if you look at the Star Sunday, £90 million Ron swap. Rooney going to Madrid, Ronaldo coming back to United. Well, the basis of this story is an interesting one, and that is where the odds tumbled on this swap transfer with William Hill. Obviously, a few of the lads in the Star Sunday sports desk, I think, are keen students of the form. Whether this will happen or not, I really don't know. Who can guess? But the odds, they are a dramatic drop in the odds. Let me just tell you, according to this, they went from 33 to 1, the odds of this happening, to 6 to 1, according to the Star Sunday, as punters heaped cash on Rooney packing his bags for the Bernabeu. Now, it is a big week for Rooney and United. The new United manager, David Moyes, has been on holiday for about the past 2 weeks. Now he's back. The talks that have been anticipated between the new United manager and Wayne Rooney will take place this week. Much hinges on that. But while the Sunday Mirror have suggested that Rooney will look to stay with his old Everton manager at United, that's not quite the story in the People. If we look at their back page headline, which is "Say Sorry," and according to this piece by Steve Bates, Rooney is insisting that United say sorry for the assertion by outgoing manager Sir Alex Ferguson that he asked for a transfer towards the end of last season. Rooney absolutely insistent that he never did formally ask for a transfer. My understanding is, from Rooney's camp, is that he had a conversation with Sir Alex Ferguson and simply said, look, if I'm not going to get game time, if I'm constantly being substituted or starting on the substitutes bench, I might as well be somewhere else. He says that's not the same as saying that he, you know, wants a transfer from Manchester United. So that is definitely one to watch. And those talks with David Moyes, absolutely critical to United's team building and whether or not Rooney starts the season at United.
And then to a story that just keeps on giving, that is Newcastle United.
The story of the week. The story of the week. Again, in the People on the back page, there's a story by Alan Oliver, their North East man. Poi it in if Pards goes. And, of course, this is the suggestion that Alan Pardew is not very happy with Joe Kinnear coming in. The story of the week in many ways because of the reaction on Tyneside to this. Will that happen? Well, inside the People, they've got a big spread on this. It's a car crash. The headline there, of course, a pun on Graham Carr, the chief scout, who, again, like Pardew, is said to be unhappy with the appointment of Joe Kinnear as the director of football. Now then, according to this piece by Alan Oliver inside, Mike Ashley himself stepped in to reassure Graham Carr that his place was not threatened by Kinnear's arrival. And according to this piece, Graham Carr on side with the recent developments, and he will be staying. Of course, he credited with many of the good finds they've had from the continent, especially France, in recent years. But for Newcastle fans to read that Gus Poyet is in the frame should Alan Pardew walk, itself, I think, unlikely given he's got a big contract. That won't win Mike Ashley any friends either, because, of course, Gus Poyet linked very closely with Dennis Wise, who was a hated figure on Tyneside for his spat with Kevin Keegan a few years ago. It is a story that just keeps on going. And before we leave it, the Times have got an exclusive, it's almost a tabloid exclusive, this. Shearer's not got a clue about coaching, but he's slagging me off. Well, in that previous People piece, Alan Oliver was saying that Alan Pardew was going to sit tight on his contract and allow Joe Kinnear to talk himself into more trouble. This piece in the Times looks like Joe Kinnear's done it already this morning, because he's suggesting at one point that, you know, that he said things that he's sorry for to the Newcastle fans. He apologises for that, but at the same time, he's put his foot in it. Now, I don't know who's advising Mike Ashley. I'm sure he does get some very good advice. I know that he does get good advice, but you can only lead a horse to water. And with what happened to that Newcastle derby, perhaps you can lead the horse to water, but it's likely to punch you in the mouth. I think that Mike Ashley really needs to look at his public profile, because some of these stories are not doing the club any good at all.
Just finally, and we're running out of time, unfortunately, the Sunday Telegraph, we've got a nice story about Andy Murray, I believe. Yeah,
with Wimbledon just round the corner now, this is a really interesting one, because Andy Murray is saying in this piece he wants the Wimbledon cauldron. What he's saying here is, forget about the decorum of Wimbledon, forget about the strawberries and cream, the decorum and the nice atmosphere. He wants what he got in that match against Roger Federer in the Olympic final last year. He wants almost the football crowd backing. He doesn't want Wimbledon to sit on its hands. He wants the crowd creating a real cauldron. Then he thinks he can be the first man to win Wimbledon since Fred Perry in 1936.
Wouldn't that be a great summer to talk about? Thank you very much for joining us always, Phil.